my man, got my fly shoes on. Stepping out in my best self-esteem. No, I'm not a size 3, but I'm still happy. Don't listen to what haters say. Just let my inner beauty shine all up in their face. Girls, it's time to take a stand. Don't realize it, but we got the power in our hands. So all my girls around the world, raise your hands if you're a glamour girl. Don't matter who you are, who you're with, you're glamorous. All my ladies feeling glamorous. Glamorous. All my ladies feeling glamorous.
Hey everyone, it's the Brandee J talk show on Lux Curves TV. We have a great episode for you guys, and I'm so thankful that you guys have been following up, asking me when's the show coming back, what's going on. It's back. We are in season 2. We're on a new network, Connect Network, Lux Curves TV. We're on New You Network. We have so many great things coming up this season. And this season, we're really going to dive into being more, I'm an authentic person, but we're going to get more authentic, more real, more honest with the guests we have on our show this season and everything we have going on. I want to thank you guys for supporting the publication. We just got word that we have a following in Russia, which was amazing. So I was like, oh my God, they know about our brand out there. But I'm just so excited for everything we have going on. We have an amazing guest. I fell in love with her when I had her on my State of the Black Woman event. We've been sisters ever since. But when we come back, this is gonna be a great episode. We're gonna get real deep. She is a life coach, so I already know this is going to get real deep. And if I shed a tear, I still look cute though, and we're just gonna wipe it off and keep it going. But we'll be right back on the Brandee J talk show on Lux Curves TV.
Glamorous, all my ladies feeling glamorous.
We are back on the Brandee J talk show, and like I said, she's amazing. I met her when she reached out to me. I always feel like God puts people in your life for a reason. Everything happens. I said God had on my heart to do a State of the Black Women panel event. She reached out to me. I had a lot of submissions, and something said have her on. And I looked into you, and I was like, yeah, she's this great life coach, motivational speaker.
Yes.
You help women in business rebuild their life. You just do it all. Lilene French, and I'm just so happy you're here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell me, what made you decide that you wanted to be a life coach?
You know what happened was, I was going through a very tumultuous situation, and it was a very toxic relationship with my son's father at that particular time. And make a long story short, it started getting so toxic, I had to remove myself from the situation. And me not being from San Diego, all my family is from Indiana, Midwest, East Coast. So I moved out here with my fiance. He was in the military, so it was like that was my only means of family. I didn't really know anyone. I just started working at the university at that particular time, and I had to remove myself from the situation. So I was in a homeless shelter with my 3-month-old son, and it was there where I saw myself and so many other women that were there in that shelter. And that was the particular time I knew I was encouraging them, helping. I even went with one lady to go and put in the divorce papers for her husband because she was in a toxic situation herself. And I just remember encouraging her and creating a plan where we could kind of, and I knew I wanted to be a life coach. I just did not know what the name of it was. And it was then I was like, let me do some research on this because I really think I would be great in this. And that's where I found out I can be a certified life coach. So I paid a great deal of money to get certified and do what I'm doing professionally.
Wow, that is just amazing for you to be in that situation, for you to be in a toxic relationship and you say, I have to get out of here.
Yeah.
And most women wouldn't want to put themselves in a shelter or be in that situation because of their child. What was it for you that said, even though I don't have nowhere to go, but this is the only place I could go?
For me, I knew I had a child that I was expecting. And that was the motivation for me to say, okay, Lilene, you have two choices. You can stay in this situation. You already know it's toxic. Your son is going to see this behavior. Is this something you want to continue on? And I'm a spiritual person, and I'm always doing everything from a faith-based foundation. And I knew that if I didn't want to continue those generational curses, I had to be the person that was different, because subconsciously we don't know what we're taking in. But I found out my mom was physically and mentally abused as well. So those imprints, those memories they're back there in your subconscious mind. And that was my reality at that particular point in time. So I had to make a choice. And my choice was, I want to create healthy environment for my son. I want to give my African American son a fighting chance to see what healthy looks like. And that's
and to not be put in a situation where he's repeating the cycle.
Exactly.
Whether and that's one thing. I'm a survivor of domestic violence and a survivor of mental emotional abuse. So I understand that, and being in that situation when you have children, you don't want them to think this is normal.
Absolutely.
And especially raising a black son, you don't want him to think this is how you treat women.
Exactly.
And I know that took a lot of courage from you to say, I'm out of here. Yeah.
I had to really find myself in that particular time, Brandee, because it was a really humbling experience. Because here I was, an off-Broadway actress. I would always hear about these other women and their abuse, and
you're like, oh, that's not going to be me.
That's not going to be me. Like every guy I've dated, they love me. I've never had any problems. But when I moved here with my ex at that particular time, I'm like, wow, I went from living a healthy life, doing great in New York City, modeling, doing everything that I wanted to do, and here I am. How did I get here? So I had to really do some self-searching. And the great part about going through the process of getting my certification, it allowed me to even examine myself. I wouldn't want to life coach anyone unless I've been through the experience myself, and I can tell.
Because how could you?
Exactly.
There's tons of life coaches out there, but if you haven't experienced something traumatic or experienced something that made you say, I need to rebuild my life, how could you help somebody else?
Exactly.
And I always feel that way when it comes to life coaches. Like, okay, what have you gone through? Because you have to have some sense of connecting with that person you're helping so they can really get an understanding and trust the process.
Exactly. I would never want to put myself in a position where I'm telling some woman about something and it's not, it hadn't produced results for myself. That's not real.
Exactly.
And I'm not here to waste anyone's time. Every client that I have are women that are serious about where they want to go. They're already successful, or maybe not, but they have an idea of where they want to see themselves, and it's my job to help them see that. I just come alongside them. I often tell myself I'm like the angel, the guardian angel, a little bit, that kind of guides them through that process of wholeness and seeing the success they want to see for themselves.
Did you, I know we have to take a break, but one thing I want to talk about is therapy, because the Black community looks at it as a stigma. Going to therapy, and I believe in therapy. I'm an advocate for therapy. I've been in therapy off and on since I was 10. Did you get any professional help to help you? And if so, did you feel like, why am I doing this?
Absolutely. I had to see a therapist. And it was even a time, like I said, when I was going through that process of life certification, I knew that I couldn't just talk to my mother or my sisters or my close family because they would get so emotional.
Yeah.
And, they're
you needed someone who wasn't emotional to help you.
Exactly.
To understand your feelings.
Exactly. Not even only understand my feelings, but my subconscious. What was the reality after this trauma that happened in my life? How am I taking it in? And that's where you need someone that's educated and professional to do the job, because it's not so much you just calling your mom or your auntie to listen to your problems. These people are actually thoroughly educated. They have the degree to actually take you step by step through what you're thinking and teaching you the tools that you need. See, the great thing about therapy and life coaching, it's kind of one of the same, but the only difference is therapists are really working with people with chronic illnesses or mental illnesses. So, and a life coach is more so, okay, I may be in a stuck environment or a stuck mind state, but what can I do? I'm like a cheerleader, basically, to cheer you through the process. But to get back to what you were saying, the stigma with the African American community in therapy, I think it's detrimental to us ourselves, because we've always been taught as African American women, be strong, you can get through this, girl, it's nothing. But the reality is, there are so many women in my family, and I've seen friendships where women are dealing with mental illness, and if it's not healthy and it's toxic and it's continuing to produce toxicity in your life, there is some malfunction mentally that you need to really go see someone about getting some type of help.
And that's one, because mental illness runs in my family, on my dad's side, and I have fought through it. My sister has fought through it, with fighting depression, fighting suicidal thoughts. My dad, at one time, we had him committed for a couple of days.
Oh my goodness.
So I tell people, this is like, what you see on the surface, you don't understand what it took me to get here.
Exactly.
And I'm so happy my mother didn't fall into that stigma of my kids need help. So when mental illness is really big in our community, and we've seen it. I mean, this with Kanye West, like, you can look at him and say something's not right.
Exactly.
Like, if you have the opportunity to say something to him, what would you say?
Wow. I think when you have a platform of that magnitude, I would tell Kanye to heal, but in your healing, try not to damage anyone else. There was a lot of statements, we've all heard the interviews with Kanye West, and I would think that since he's going through some of the things he's going through, as far as he said, I think it was bipolar disorder and other mental illnesses, I would tell him just to take that time to do some real healing, and in that healing process, try not to hurt and damage anyone else through your healing process. So that takes a lot of seclusion sometimes. It was really a sad thing to see, and it still is a sad thing to see. And I always tell people, I don't feel like he's been right since the death of his mother. That's a traumatic blow. He needed to see a therapist in that moment, because again, just talking to Pookie and them and your cousins and mama and cousin them, that's not enough. You need someone to really help you through your psychological pathologies and your mind state at that particular time. You cannot do it on your own.
Wow.
You just can't. So
you really can't. And it's really, I'm happy we're discussing mental illness, because it's a topic that needs to be discussed and not pushed under the table, because there's a lot of women who don't realize they have it.
Exactly.
And they don't want to acknowledge it and everything. So, but we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get more into mental illness and how it affects you, and to see the signs and to make yourself aware, okay, I need help. So we'll be right back on the Brandee J Talk Show.
Glamorous, all my ladies feeling glamorous.
So dealing with mental illness, we were just discussing it. There's signs that we tend to not want to see. Like I said, I've dealt with my share of mental illness, because seeing it run in the family, seeing how things are. What are some signs that especially if there's so much pressure on women, and like you said, with Black women, we always have to be strong, and when we have a weak moment, it's frowned upon. And I feel like when you have that moment, that's a cry for help. So, for one, what are the signs that if you're with, a loved one and they're showcasing certain things that you can say, okay, this person needs to speak to someone?
Well, from my understanding, a lot of men who do abuse women, they tend to take you away from your family and try to ostracize you from your loved ones. So if you're noticing someone's not communicating like they normally would, or if they're just depressed, if you can tell, their temperament is going to show those things.
How do you help them? Because I'm very real. My sister, me and her don't have a good relationship, but the person she decided to marry keeps her away. And she has no relationship with no one in the family. And I get so mad, like, you don't see this, you don't see the control, you don't see certain things, because when I was in that situation, I can see the signs, and I'm good at it, and it's with anyone in my life. If I see certain signs in you, I stay away from you, because I don't want to relive something I fought. But how is it that as women we know something's not right, but we stay in it?
I mean, that's interesting. I mean, that's a broad statement. I mean, there's so many different reasons why women stay. Mine in particular was the pressure, like you said, of this idea of, I have a family, I'm about to get married, this is how it looks, but when you see that Instagram picture, there's so many unspoken words in just a photo.
Exactly.
People see the ideas, these visuals, and that's the whole thing of marketing too. I'm just gonna give you a whole bunch of pictures and you create the ideals for them.
You make it seem like, oh, they're so happy, they're this, but you don't know
if he just beat her before or she beat him.
Exactly.
We don't know
anything. And it's so sad how even with social media, you can put a picture up like you said, and people always assume these things, but not realizing that there's pain behind that.
Yeah. I mean, even when you show your Lux Curve magazine or your Boss Brunch, event that you had, they didn't see the hard sweat, blood, and tears that went
Girl,
into
they didn't
that
see me
event.
carrying
They
up
just
tables up the stairs, sweating, about to have a nervous breakdown.
Exactly. But the great thing about being a life coach is I don't mind seeing you sweat, because that I'm just here to see you in your most vulnerable state. I'm here to even help you to get real with yourself. And that's where the self, assessing comes in. Where am I? A lot of women don't want to be honest with where they are. And so that's what I'm here to help you do.
It's so great, because I had a moment, I think it was like 2 months ago. I just had a moment and I looked at myself and I said, I'm tired of your shit, Brandee. And a lot of people can't self-assess. They can't do that with themselves.
For sure.
And I had a moment where I said, enough is enough. So I had to change my mindset. I had to change my routine. I had to change a lot because this is where I want to be at a higher level, so I have to change. When you're self-assessing yourself, it's painful.
Absolutely. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to see the weaknesses within themselves. That's hard.
It's hard.
That's hard. Now, we're quick as a society, as a culture, to nitpick everybody else for their own imperfections. And I'm sure we're doing the same behind closed doors. So it is very painful to get honest with yourself, Brandee. That's the truest statement you've said all day, because that's where the real homework starts. When you can self-assess yourself and say, hey, you know what? I could do better. This is not my life. I don't want this to be where I'm going here. When you can do that, you can begin to do the work.
And that's what I did. Like, I was dealing with someone and I just woke up one day and I said, I don't want to do this anymore. He was too toxic. And I said, it was 6 months of like, I'm not dealing with this. Like, why am I dealing with you? And that's when I said, enough is enough. And I was like, I deserve better. You have to go. This is not working out. And, of course, he tried to do the manipulating thing by, just keeping himself attached in some way. But I feel like when you're going through your aha moment, when you're going through your self-assessment moment, it's going to be painful, but you have to go through it.
For sure.
And I feel like a lot of people don't want to go through it anymore.
Yeah, and that's why you have a whole bunch of people fighting through, depression and many other behaviorisms, because they don't want to see themselves. The funny thing is, I see the culture shifting they're wanting to see the celebrities more authentic, but are they doing that themselves?
Exactly.
They want to, they don't want the cookie cutter ideas anymore, but yet they don't want to do the homework.
Exactly.
So it's like, it's an interesting oxymoron there.
It's really interesting, and it's really like, you want, like you said, they want people to be real, but you have to be real within yourself.
For sure.
And one thing I wanted to, this is a situation that happened to me that I was going through it was a time it was going through my depression. And when I was in therapy, my therapist was like, first of all, you have to feel the emotions. Second of all, if you need help, you need to talk to your circle. I, at the time, spoke to a friend of mine. We were no longer friends, and I was expressing to her how I felt about the situation. Me, like, I'm not happy. I'm going through this. I feel like my depression is kicking in, and I'm still having a hard time getting over my dad's death. And the comment she said was, "You're not over that yet?"
Wow.
What would you say to someone, like, and we're no longer friends, because I just realized I can't do that. But when you have when someone comes to you and say, it's hard for me to be vulnerable, and the one time I was vulnerable, I got the door slammed in my face.
Wow. What would I say to that? Well, first off, I would say, try to give her a little bit of understanding that, you can't have an idea of when someone is you can't have a deadline.
Exactly. I didn't know there was a deadline. Yeah.
Especially as something as traumatic as a parent dying.
Yeah.
So that was kind of heartless in itself. But I would try to educate her a little bit more on where I was. But then again, I also encourage women too, during that time where I needed to seek therapy, and I also had a life coach at that time too, I noticed that I had to be wise in who I was speaking to. I couldn't just call mama anymore because, like I said, my mother, she loves me to death, and to hear her baby going through some things, like any mother, you turn into the lioness.
You like,
no, that's my baby.
Exactly.
That's my hub. You start, girl, okay.
Exactly.
So, and I'm a mother myself, and you like, that's mine. So I get it. But I knew I couldn't call her because all of her answers would be emotionally driven and wouldn't necessarily be the most healthiest, best choices for me. For me to heal. And that's where a lot of time when you're going through that, you want to attach yourself to other people so badly because it's like you're trying to survive. You're trying to keep going.
Exactly.
But you got to get the right fuel from the right people.
Yeah. And when you're getting the right fuel from the right people, because your circle is really important.
So important.
So when you have those friends you've been friends with your whole life, but everyone changes. You grow up and you change, and you realize, I can't deal with this person anymore. Like, what do you think is the right way to end that relationship so it doesn't become dramatic?
You know what, for me, like I said, everything I do is faith-based. I would pray about it. I would say, Lord, whatever isn't for me, remove it out of my life. And when I tell you, each and every time I've said that prayer,
you're like, that person's gone. All right,
cool. Gone. Thanks, Lord, for taking out the trash.
Like, praise Him.
Yes, but you know what? Not all of them were trashy relationships. I will say, you outgrow people sometimes,
especially when you're evolving.
Exactly.
When you're evolving to your purpose and what you're supposed to be doing. Especially, I feel like in business. When you're a businesswoman and you're coming into your own, your circle's going to change.
For sure. Because
I feel like it has to change.
For sure. For me in particular, when I started my business this year, actually. January.
Wow.
I launched it, and I've seen so many results. But one thing I've noticed about successful women is they surround themselves with other successful women. Successful women think differently, and not only am I a life coach, but I'm also a career services coach as well. So I like using that part of myself because my background is in education, and I currently work at a university right now, and I kind of help the students to see where they want to go. So I kind of get to use that in my life coaching as well. And I have such a passion for it because it's like I want you to self-assess where you are as far as your business or your career, and where can we take you to get to the next level in your life.
So you are helping people rebuild their lives, to see themselves for who they and deal with their mess.
For sure, because that's the groundwork.
Exactly.
Before I could start my business, a lot of people think that money and success and you having a successful business is the end all say all.
No, it's not.
But again, you see so many successful people committing suicide, fighting, mental illnesses.
Kate Spade.
It's just so many
Yeah.
other people who have lost their lives to suicide because of that pressure. And again, that's where the life coach comes in. We help you self-assess. We create a plan for you to strategically get to the next goal or stage, whether that's more leadership, more emotional intelligence. You know, when you become a successful woman, there's a lot of things you need to get in line before you can see any produced results. So you definitely got to start with you.
Wow, this is we can keep going on and on and on.
Yes,
this is a very important topic that needs to be discussed, because sometimes there's so much pressure on the everyday woman. If you're even not in business, if you're a mom,
hello,
there is pressure. If you're a young college student, there's pressure. I just feel like there's so much pressure out there in the world, and with social media, it magnifies that pressure. But we're going to take a quick break, and I want to, when we come back, we'll get more into that. So we'll be right back on the Brandee J Talk Show.
Glamorous, all my ladies feeling glamorous.
Oh God, it's just so fun to just have you here and to talk about everything we've been talking about. But one thing I want to ask, if someone comes to you and they need the guidance and the help, or anyone out there, what are 3 basic steps or tools you can give to someone right now to start getting their life back on track?
Well, if someone were to call me as their life coach, one of the first things we would do is a self-assessment. We want to really truly examine where you are. That's where I go into asking you the really deep questions to really get down to the nitty-gritty of who you are and where you want to go. So you have this idea of where you want to go, but then there's the self-assessment of seeing where you really truly are. So we have to really work our way up to this idea of, like I said, what you want to see success for yourself.
Is it because I have a hard time being vulnerable. It's uncomfortable for me. And I'm sure you dealt with clients who have a hard time being vulnerable. How do you teach them to work through that?
It's a relationship with me. I always tell each and every one of my clients, and they always tell me when I ask them, give me a survey, they always say I'm like the coaching best friend, because it's really a relationship. I don't just show up at your house one day and ask you all of these questions. No, it's a series of us building a relationship, me really truly getting to know you and really talking about whatever it is you're going through. I'm here to be in a listening ear if you need me to be one day. I'm here to be that encouragement to let you know, sis, you got it. That this other day, or I'm just here to hold you if you need to be held. That's a part of being a life coach. I do this. It's not just about a paycheck for me, because each and every person I've met, I meet them in the privacy of their home, whatever is comfortable, because initially I had an office space, but again, I'm not a therapist. I'm your life coach. I want to see how you're living. I want to see where you are mentally at this place, emotionally, spiritually.
And then coming in on their turf.
Coming on your turf.
Makes it probably more relaxing for them to be like, okay, I can open up.
Exactly.
And I can be a little bit more vulnerable.
Exactly.
And it just really does it give you a better connection with that person?
Absolutely. When someone is able to be in their own environment, of course, there's a whole different persona than if it was a person that's coming on your turf. And as a life coach, I wanted to give that, notion that I'm not a therapist. I'm your life coach. And if I'm going to be a life coach to help you personally develop and career services, I got to really know you. I've got to really know you. Like, one of my clients was really adamant about sharing her favorite YouTube personas, and this was something that she wanted to do, and I had to step into her world, not the other way around.
Not her stepping into you stepping into her.
Exactly.
We have so much pressure in today's society. Our young people, I feel like it's magnified than when we were growing up. And with social media, it just makes things more in your face, and my heart, I fear for the generation. I feel for our younger generation, and they have so much on their plate. What can we do more to help them?
Well, I also run a team coaching service.
Okay.
Yes, so I am partnered here in San Diego with ATAP Family Services, where I work with a group of teenage girls on a monthly basis, where we do go through, coaching, group coaching. and I help them to self-assess themselves again in a coaching setting.
And how old are they? What's the age range?
They range from anywhere. We had a 7th grader, so anywhere between 13 all the way up to 18, getting ready to go into college.
Got it.
Yes. So it was a place where they can be vulnerable. They can talk about the pressures that they see through social media, through their culture, television, and they're able to self-assess, and then from there we go on into helping them to face certain realities about where they can go, certain, just, how do I say this? Getting over the mental blocks.
Yeah.
Because a lot of teenagers have so many mental blocks, and it's so crazy, Brandee. My last coaching session was called Things That Make Me Beautiful. And out of all of those 20 girls in that room, do you know none of them thought they were beautiful?
Oh my God.
None of them thought they were beautiful. I asked the girls, I said, who in here thinks they're beautiful? None of the girls thought they were beautiful.
And that just goes to what's going on in society. What's like,
what are we teaching our children?
What are we teaching our children? If you're in a room with 20 girls and not one says that they're beautiful, there's something wrong. There's something wrong that we're not doing in our society. There's too much pain that they're seeing. There's too much hurt that they're seeing, and not enough love.
Because I think every person has to really look within themselves. These girls are really going through a tough time where they don't feel beautiful. They don't feel as if they're wanted. And that says a lot about our community. One of the things we need to be doing as women is starting to have some accountability to one another.
We do.
Like, sis, that wasn't appropriate. I didn't like how you treated her. You walked past her and didn't say hello. Little things like that. We got to start holding each other accountable, because I am my sister's keeper.
And that's really important for you. Like, I feel like we do have to hold each other accountable, because we're so quick. We can be so quick to be petty,
catty,
whatever. But we're not so quick to uplift. We're not so quick to motivate. And we have to change that mindset. Like, if I motivate you, that's going to do wonders for you, and plus it's going to make me feel good.
That's why I call you all the time. Excuse me. I call this lady when she does an amazing thing for the community, another accomplishment. I make it my due diligence to call her and say, sis, you are doing amazing things. She inspires me. So that's our job. I don't have to really know you to know that you are me. And if I see you win, I see myself win.
And that's always been my mission. Like, if I win, we all win.
If I see you win, I win.
Yeah, because I wanted a platform to do this, to bring my sisters on here to say, let's talk about things. Let's help each other. Let's help our community. Let's show the younger generation of women that women do work together.
Absolutely.
It's not a facade. You don't always have what you see on reality TV is not reality.
Yeah, we have to defame that mind work of, we have to be catty. It's always who's better than who. Like, that is, to me, a demonic mindset. It's a poverty-stricken mindset, and I don't live there. And every woman that's around me, I celebrate. I want to see them continuously win. There's women I call, that are my best friends, and I'm encouraging them as they get their businesses or they buy their new homes. No one's sitting here,
How long did it take for you to get to that point? Because we're not really brought up to be that way. Yeah. We're brought up to be the opposite. So, and I'm sure you were not always this way, and I know it took you some but when did you say, I'm not going to be that person anymore?
You know what? I had to go through some really life experiences. Like I said, one of the most was me going into the homeless shelter with my son. That was a reality check for me, because in high school, I will be honest, I was a mean girl. No, a lot of people wouldn't have known that, but in high school, I was really a mean girl.
And do you think that stemmed from did you have insecurities?
Absolutely. That stemmed from me really going through poverty, with my mom being the oldest of 4 siblings, pressures of, not growing up in the cookie cutter, home. I grew up in the hood, what people would call the hood, the unfortunate, so it was hard. I had to do some serious work. So during that time, I was a mean girl, because at that time, I didn't want to see myself. I didn't want to see my reality. But thank God I had some people who wanted to love me through that. I had some great friends who were willing to love me through those moments. And I'm still friends with them today.
And that's a beautiful thing, because they saw something else. They said, this is not who she is.
Exactly.
This is who she is in the circumstances that she's around.
Yeah.
But this is not ultimately who she is.
And
who
that's
she's
how I
going
think
to
a lot
be.
of teenagers are. They have to survive. There's pressures out there, whether that's them fighting through homosexuality or them feeling that they're too fat or too small. You know, those pressures are there for our young people. And they feel like in order to survive, I have to take on these many perceptions.
And it's magnified due to social media. Like, it's so meant, like, you go on there, you see a picture, but you're not realizing how many filters that person put on them to make themselves look like that.
Throwing up in the bathroom.
Exactly. To look that way. And it's just, wow, I'm just so stuck on the 20 girls they
didn't think they were beautiful. And that's so crazy, because even at that time when I was a teenager, although I acted as if I knew I was beautiful, I really didn't think I was either. But I wanted to let the girls know that you are beautiful and you have to look within yourself, because it's not about what the world is portraying. It's about your characteristics and what you are really willing to give back.
And how you treat people.
And how you treat people.
I really tell people that it's about how you treat people. I thank my grandmother for the influence she had in me. To me, she's like the ultimate curvy woman. That's where I base everything out off of. But she helped me love me when I wasn't loving myself. Because my dad put me on a diet when I was 10.
Oh, you told me that.
And that's when I was like, is there something wrong with me? And I had eating disorders up until I was 18, 19. Throwing up, going to the store, stealing diet pills. I did it all. And I got to the point my grandmother was like, I'm not about to lose my baby due to this. Like, you're beautiful. Love your curves. Love who you are. Know that you are beautiful. But I didn't think I was, because society says you have to be a size 02 to be beautiful.
Wait.
And I'm so happy we didn't have social media back then. That would have just...
And that's why a lot of these young people are getting younger and younger and killing themselves.
Exactly.
Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Like, they're getting younger and younger because we have a real problem.
And what can we do to fix the problem? What do you think needs to be happening?
Well, again, it starts with yourself first. You have to be the light you want to see in the world. You know, I know as a mother that who I am, the love I have for myself resonates in my son. And if I don't really truly love myself, if I'm not taking that time for myself, I can't give it to him. And he's my tomorrow. He's our tomorrow.
Yes.
And so a lot of it starts at home, really. And when I say home, it's not just in your home. It starts within your temple.
Exactly.
Within yourself.
Because your kids are paying attention to everything you say. Do. How you move, how you operate.
Exactly.
And then they take it as, okay, is this normal? This is what I have to do.
Exactly. And even they're looking at, there was a particular point in time where I would wear, so much hair extensions where I never even really saw myself. And then when I took all the hair out and I went natural, my hair started growing back, and I was like, you know what? This is who I am. And not to say I don't put no weave in my hair, because I do, but I know
sometimes you got to.
Sometimes you do. But there are some women I know who won't even take their makeup off, and just, I know women who sleep in their makeup, sleep in their wigs, they sleep in their hair. They just, who are you,
girl?
Who are you,
girl?
Do you like who you look like in the mirror?
I know. I'll be doing my Facebook video. I was like, I ain't got no makeup on today, but I'm doing this and doing that, and I'm like, hello. You have to see my realness.
Hello.
And that's what it is. So, we can keep talking. You have Reflections of a Queen.
Reflections of a Queen, LLC.
I love that name.
Thank you.
I was so like, yes, all about that. So tell everyone where they can find you, social media wise, if they need your services, just give all your information out.
Yes. So for anyone that is looking to get some personal training or personal development and career services, you can reach me at www.reflectionsofaqueenllc.com. You can also call me at 323-834-9027. And you can also email me at info@reflectionsofaqueenllc.com.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest. And you're going to see her more often, because it's really important for me to have guests on the show that can not only help me, but help you. And, this is what the show's all about. I want to help people to be better at what they are, to heal from their pain. So you're going to see her, Lilene, more on the show. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Take a stand, don't realize it, but we got the power in our hands. So all my girls around the world,